Hey everyone, and welcome to the second week of Thrive this winter. I'm Hannah, and I'm here with my buddy Justin, who's a worship leader, who's joining us.
Glad to be back with you.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Today, Brian is gonna be talking to us about physical strength and spiritual strength. And you might be like, what, I'm out, I don't wanna hear that. But let me tell you, they relate, and he's gonna give us some scripture and some practical messages to help us figure out how those two things correlate. Speaking of strength and being strong, you know, Justin, I'm feeling the scarf game. It's strong today. It's looking great.
Yeah, you feeling it?
I'm feeling it. Looks good.
I am not feeling it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a scarf wearer.
Okay.
I'm wearing this scarf because someone off camera here just said, hey, it's a winter series, you should have a scarf on. So you put a scarf on. I said, I don't know how to put a scarf on. And they wrapped me up in this scarf. I don't even know how to take it, but
Are you feeling the pressure?
Yeah, beards, scarves, they don't match, man.
It's okay, you can take it off.
I don't get it. So, how's this?
Good.
So I'm thriving now, and we want you to thrive, so let's hear what Brian has to say.
Hey, great to have you with us. Welcome to Thrive This Winter. My name is Brian Tome, and we're gonna talk about how to thrive this winter. It's coming up, it's on us already. 2020, winter. Hey, let's go all the way back to spring of 2020. Do you remember when people said, hey, this coronavirus thing, it's not gonna go away in a couple weeks, a couple months. It could go all the way through the year, all the way to the next flu season. We went, oh, please, we decided. I was like, oh, please. Well, you know, those pundits, they were exactly right. And now they're saying that we're gonna be in this through all of 2021. And I'm less prone to dismiss them and tell them they're idiots, and now I'm realizing, hey, you guys were right before, you're probably right again. Can we all just give our reaction to it? Well, what does that make us feel like? It makes us feel like, let's give it a good old 2020 scream. You wish you could do that in a gymnasium, didn't you? My own little gymnasium. I can do whatever I want in my gym. It's not my gym, actually. It's actually the YMCA's gym. You know, it's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can have a good time. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the Y. Remember that song? Yeah. The YMCA actually has a fascinating history. It actually is young Men's Christian Association. Now, today, you don't have to be young to come here. You don't have to be a man to come here. You don't have to be a Christian to come here. You just need to associate with general physical health. But the very earliest formation, why the YMCA was started by a bunch of missionaries who saw the link between our spiritual health and our physical health. Actually, the Y in the YMCA is a triangle turned upside down, which is their 3 points for overall holistic health. My mentality, my spirituality, and my physicality. And they believe when we bring all those things together, we can be more godly, be closer to God, and have a better functioning life. Who wants that? I know I want that. And I know this mission actually comes from the Bible itself. It says in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. Godliness, I believe, is the totality of our life becoming more and more like a training our bodies. Training our physicality is incredibly important, but we're really concerned about the holistic aspect of our lives as human beings. But today we're gonna focus on the aspect of our physicality, which is actually part of our spirituality. Here we are, past the quarantine 15. It used to be called the quarantine 15. For many of us, it's actually the COVID-19. Weight just keeps adding on and adding on, and this is not good. We're in wintertime, and someone's going, oh my goodness, it's wintertime. I'm really gonna go to pot physically now. You don't have to, you don't. In winter, for many of us, it's a time for us to retreat to our houses, stream more, just kind of hunker down under our blankets, have some soup, have some eggnog, just keep packing on the LBSs because it's gonna be hidden by a sweater anyway. In the process, we get more depressed. We struggle more. We feel more detached from God. I talk with friends who live in the great north, in Minnesota, those places, and they said, you guys have it all wrong. I said, you guys retreat from the winter. We embrace the winter. The only way you can deal with winter is to get out into it. They said we do hockey, we do ice skating, we do skiing, cross-country skiing, ice fishing, snowshoeing. You gotta get out into it. There's something when your body is moving that you feel closer to God. Why? Because, believe it or not, God actually created our bodies, and He's created our bodies to move. And when we're not moving, and when we're not physically strong, we're not going to be able to be spiritually strong. I want you to be spiritually strong. I want you to be godly. I want to help you today. And to do that, we're going to have to talk about these things, these bodies that God gave. It doesn't matter what shape you're in right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're not doing. Hey, let's just all grow from where we are right now.
He was really excited about that, and I'm excited that
Very
he was
proud of
excited.
himself.
But I do think that I don't know if he made it. So let's get some rerun of the footage. Can we get a retake?
Here,
what is that called on TV?
Review.
A review.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting a review right now, everyone. We're getting to the booth. A review.
So excited.
He's so excited,
He's so proud of himself.
Yeah, he definitely thought it was like nothing but net situation
Except
right there.
it was just nothing.
Yes.
Literally nothing.
Nothing. No net,
Barely
no
net.
rim, nothing.
Barely net.
No.
I coach first and second grade girls. Brian, I'd like to invite you to the next practice. We'll give you some help, give you some tips.
That's all right. While his basketball skills may seem a tiny bit questionable, Brian does have some good points for us to look into. But before we do that, if you're practicing the spiritual discipline of giving, or you want to partner with us by spreading this message of hope to more people, you can do that right now.
And you can do that like I do at crossroads.net/give. Before we hear more from Brian, let's hear Jen's story about her journey toward physical and spiritual strength.
I believe that when we are strong, physically, mentally, and spiritually, we can thrive in any situation. God had brought me through some places where I had always siloed my health and my spiritual life and my mental health in different silos. I trained for a half marathon, and in the midst of that training, I just met God in a way in that when I would hit walls with distances, that made me recognize, wait a minute, He wants to be a part of all of this. He just rocked my world in a way that I recognized they're actually all intertwined, and He designed us to have that happen, and He wants to be a part of it all. When I recognized that, other women started seeing something happening in me, and they were asking me lots of questions. And the person who owns the gym that I'm currently working at, he recognized women were coming to the gym with me, and he just asked me if I'd be interested in leading a group for women. And I, at first, was like, no. Then I just felt like God was saying, no, I want you to do this. And it has been one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever had. And I have watched God show up in ways that have blown me away. Seeing women recognize their strength, their power when they're together in community, and when we're all fighting to be healthy. We want to be who God created us to be, and when we're healthy, we can do that. It's a way to work out the things that we want to be able to do on a daily basis and build muscle memory, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. I think strength looks different in everybody. We'll look at the group, and you might point at one person and be like, that person is really strong. But the person next to them might have this spiritual strength that makes them a giant. One's encouraging the other person to push through physically and get to a new place. The other person is challenging that person's thought process. Capture your thought. Remember, God says you're enough, that kind of stuff. And those strengths, when they come together, all we can do is get stronger. It's iron sharpens iron. That's what happens there. If we want to be healthy, there is going to be a small cost in the beginning, or maybe a large cost in the beginning. But the benefit outweighs the cost immensely. If we want to say to God, I want to do whatever you call me to do, I don't ever want Him to call me to do something and my health be the roadblock to me doing that. I want to be able to run when He says run. When my kids want to play with me, I want to be able to play. I don't want to be too tired. When my husband wants to go for a walk with me, I want to be able to go out and walk. When I have friends who need me, I want to be able to drop what I'm doing and run to them and have the energy to do that. The only way we can do that is if we pursue our health on a regular basis and make it a priority. God gave us a body. We need to take care of it. We need to recognize it as a tool to use for the things He calls us to. When we pursue equally our mental and our spiritual and our physical health, and we keep them all strong, it doesn't matter what's happening around us. It doesn't matter if it feels like the world is blowing up around us. If we are rooted in truth and we have muscle memory in our physical strength, our mental strength, and our spiritual strength, we can get through anything. And there's some strength that we have in the midst of that enables us to thrive. And I've seen it, and I don't ever want to lose that hope.
$48, $49, $50. Oh man. I didn't do 50. I'm sorry. But actually, I've got a real warm spot for the exercise. Let me say this before we start or go any further. I know there's a lot of shame as it relates to physical fitness. I know a lot of us have already checked out. We're already gone. It's like, oh my gosh. I don't want to talk about my body. I don't want to talk about the physical because we feel defeated. We feel like we don't measure up. We feel like we can't do it. I understand that. I really do. I'm not trying to get any of us to be CrossFit athletes. I'm not trying to get any of us to run a marathon. I'm just trying to help us to see that the physical is spiritual. That's all I'm trying to get us to do. Just maybe a step. Just hang with me. Just maybe a step to see that the physical is spiritual. It became a spiritual thing for me when I would go out and play basketball, and I realized that my body was decaying. For my whole life, my body did whatever I wanted to do, whether it was play football, or in high school I did a little boxing. Whatever it was, my body was always there for me. And then at age 35, running up and down the basketball court wasn't enough anymore. And I just started gaining weight. I started losing energy at the end of the day. My back was going out again and again and again. And I said, whoa, whoa. I can't live this way. I got to do something to keep myself moving and going. I've got to raise my game. I've got to elevate my game. I saw that how I would take care of my body would actually tell God how I was taking care of one of His blessings. My body is one of His blessings. Now, I want to make sure that we understand that your physical fitness is a spiritual issue. If we go way back, centuries and millennia, we see within Christendom some really bad understandings about the physical or physical properties and about the spiritual. Go all the way back to Plato, way back. Plato believed, Platonic philosophy was such that this workout bench is a physical workout bench, but there's no value in this, Really, there's a spiritual realm in which the pure workout bench is, and we need to want that pure workout bench. This is actually nothing. Now, I'm not trying to pick a fight with an intramural Christian squabble, not at all. I just want to point out some of the history of the Catholic Church, or communion for many Catholics. It comes out of this Platonic thought where there is the spiritual, which is the highest, but something physical represents it. So that's why for many Catholics, the Eucharist, the Mass, the wine and the bread is a physical thing, which literally is what's actually in the spiritual. It's also why many ancient monastic orders would beat themselves, flog themselves over their sins. What they're trying to say is, my physical body is nothing. My physical is worthless. It's the spiritual. I want to beat this. And I just want to tell you, friends, that's not true. It's just not true. Your physical being is worthy. I I want to give you some scriptures today to help you see this. In the book of Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it says, the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. If our physical bodies were nothing, then God wouldn't have created our physical bodies, but he does. And then he breathes spirit into our bodies. Jesus pre-existed long before Christmas ever happened. Jesus existed as God, and he comes and he takes physical form. If physical form isn't worthy, then God wouldn't have come and taken physical form. That's what John chapter 1, verse 14 says. It says, and the Word became flesh and dwelt amongst us, and we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and full of truth. The Son comes down and takes on physical properties. God takes on physical properties. And you know what Jesus does while he's walking through the earth? One of the things he's doing is he's physically healing people. He's physically touching people and helping people. He's not saying, oh, well, you're sick, your body's sick. Well, the body doesn't matter. He doesn't do that. He comes and he heals people. He blesses people. I actually went through the entire New Testament multiple times. I am a pastor. I kind of read it for a living. But Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 authorized biographies of Jesus, I've read them a bunch of times. One time I went through it, and I just counted up all the miracles that there were, all the different miracles that were in there. And Jesus would see somebody lying on the ground, and they would reach out to him, and he would heal them. I do wonder, there's so much cool gear in here. Like I'm trying to keep focused, but I can't do it. It's just too fun. He sees people and he heals people 41 times. 41 times I've counted. Now, some of those miracles are duplicates. Some of them are like, I'm not sure it's a miracle, but I counted 41. And here's the interesting thing. Of the 41 miracles, 34 of them happen when somebody instigates the behavior, when somebody comes forward to Jesus. Of the remaining 7, there's still often something like the person has to go down and wash off in the pools of Siloam, like in John chapter 9. Or a person has to step forward in the book of Mark chapter 3. But again and again and again and again and again, it's Jesus seeing people's faith and stepping out. One time, it's a bunch of guys that bring a paralyzed guy who are on a mat. They carry him on a mat. They come to Jesus, and it says, when Jesus saw their faith, that's in Matthew 9, also in the book of Mark, when he saw their faith, he healed them. He healed that man. We'd like to think that, well, if Jesus came to my city, he'd maybe go to the local hospitals and he'd just walk up and down the aisles of the hallways of the hospital and the ICU units and be going like, no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do it because that's not what he did when he came. He waits to see who wants it. He waits to see who will take a step. He waits to see who's going to come forward because they physically do something that says, I want something different for myself spiritually. I'm not wanting you to become body beautiful and work out 7 days a week. I'm just asking you, maybe this winter, there's just a step you can take. Maybe this winter, it's as simple as going on a walk 3 days a week. Maybe this winter it's as simple as do as many push-ups as you can during a commercial break. Whatever it is, do something with God that just shows him I'm going to try something different physically because God, I want to get to a different place spiritual. The spiritual can be seen as there's the spiritual and then there's the physical. It can also be seen as since God's blessed me physically, that's a spiritual thing. That's just a good thing. Now, having said that, second big idea today is I want us to just recognize that the physical can also be delusional. It can be just very stressful coming into a place like this because you don't measure up. As I said, all my earlier life, I was lifting, I was into bodybuilding, I was into just weird stuff, man. I just really was. And when I came to Christ, and then when I started growing spiritually, Oh, when I started growing spiritually, that's called about like 21, 22, going to a different level. I started to get really convicted that all of the exercise that I was really up and doing, they were all bicep and curls. You know, they were all this. Why is this kind of stuff? It's because everyone wants pythons, right? Everyone wants to be able to put on a gun show. It was all chest work. And why was it all that? It was all that because it was narcissism. It was a way for me to actually look good. It wasn't a functional thing. It was a way to look good. And so I felt convicted about that. I said, I'm just not going to lift anymore. I'm not going to do that. And much to my peril, because I said, I hit the wall. But we got to be really careful. If we're just doing something physically so we'll look better, we're being deluded. How many times have you ever needed to curl something up like this? Not many. When's the last time you actually were on your back and you need to press something above? When's the last time that happened? Probably never, right? But we're drawn to that because we want to look good. And there's nothing wrong with looking good, but there's something wrong when that is our goal instead of God being our goal. In Men's Journal, they talk about this recently. Men's Journal is one of the many magazines that's out there. And actually, women are way, way ahead of men. Women have had pressures put upon you that us men are only now beginning to understand and live with. It's well documented. Back in the 70s, Cosmopolitan magazine, the Barbie doll, just put images out there of what a woman's supposed to look like, what she's supposed to dress like, the physique she's supposed to have, that 99 out of 100 women just can't meet. And it's a crushing, crushing burden to women, utterly crushing. Well, women were ahead of the game, or at least the marketing department was ahead of the game in putting a burden on women that you couldn't bear. And now it's finally come to men. Men's Journal, Men's Health, it's like every cover's got some guy with 8-pack, 6-pack, whatever. And by the way, they're not the strongest. Any of us who've binged Alone, which is amazing. Alone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, amazing. We all now know if you want to be strong, if you want to live, you better darn well have some fat on you. Great, you look great in the pool, you get in the real world, you'll freaking die. You will die, utterly die. Oh, you're so good, 0.2% body fat, yeah, and you're going to die as soon as there's another food crisis. Men's Journal, they say this, they say, a desire to change your weight or physique is often what spurs the desire to exercise. But if you're exercising solely to burn calories or earn your meal, or you engage in compensatory exercise because you ate too much earlier or the day before, that's a sign of obsessive behavior. Some men even suffer from body dysmorphic disorder, a condition where you have a severely distorted perception of your weight and shape. It's incredibly dangerous for your mental and physical health. If you're never satisfied with your performance, the way your body looks, or how you're progressing. Guys, women, we gotta say enough. It's not about fitting the image that somebody else says we need to have. It's about being strong. It's about being functional. I got in the gym more because I wanted to function at age 35 and way, way past. We have to recognize as we get engaged in physical stuff, we're just going to be coming up against potential danger scenarios of falling into the way that the very shallow world wants to think, which is ignoring our mentality, ignoring our spirituality, and exalting our physicality. Clues we see of this in the Bible through and through. One of them is King David. Before he becomes a king, God comes to a prophet, his name is Samuel, and he says, okay, go over to this guy's house, Jesse, and there's a bunch of guys there who are his sons, and one of them is going to be the next king. And here's what he says to Samuel in looking at these physical specimens. 1 Samuel 16:7. Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. Samuel is drawn to make the next king be the largest and strongest in the house of Jesse. And that's not him. And he goes to the next largest and strongest, and it's not him. He goes to the next, it's not him. Finally finds it's the smallest and the weakest, physically speaking. David, the shepherd boy, some of the most powerful people I know are out of shape. Some of the most people I admire the most don't work out 4 days a week. It's one thing to be physically fit, it's another thing to be spiritually fit. Physical fitness and strength is important, that's why we're doing this, but I'm just telling someone it's danger, 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 Will Robinson. Here's another verse from the New Testament that talks about what it's like to be fixated always on the outside. 1 Peter 3, do not let your adorning be external, the braiding of the hair and the putting on of gold jewelry or the clothing you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable wreath of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. Now this is spoken to women, but it's just as applicable for men as well. He's saying, hey, don't be so into what your earrings are that you're fixating on that instead of fixating on what you're putting inside of your ears. Don't be so fixated on how your body looks as much as you're fixated on how you look to God. Don't be so fixated on what clothes you're wearing. Have you ever noticed, there's some people, you never see them in the same clothes twice? Weird, really weird. Spending a lot of time thinking about that. God would have us think about, how is it that we are clothed with the body of Christ? We're clothed with the identity of Christ. There's nothing wrong with having earrings. There's nothing wrong with having nice clothes. There's nothing wrong with having a chiseled body like mine. Kidding. No, I'm very thankful that I don't have to show my skin here, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of what's your passion, what are you looking for. Do not be deluded by this world that would tell us everything is about how you physically look and what you can physically do. Just recognize there's a new place for you to go to. God cares about your body. He wants you to care about your body. Third big idea is this. The physical is practical. Now, this is an exercise that I've been doing more of recently, and I really don't like it. Most of us never have a problem getting motivation to work out your chest and biceps. But man, these suckers, oh my gosh, lunges. I've been doing more and more of these recently. And the reason I've been doing more and more is because I have a practical goal I'm trying to get ready for. There's something I'm training for. If I wasn't wanting to be more strong and had a thing that I was working on, I wouldn't do these. What am I doing? Well, I just got an elk tag. Oh my gosh, I got an elk tag. Now, those of us who are hunters know, but that's a big deal. Elk are not just bigger versions of deer. They are these monstrous entities that don't live in Ohio where I live. And it is incredibly competitive to get permission to hunt an elk, to get a tag, to get a license. So, fortunately, I can't believe I said fortunately, but fortunately, the state of Colorado, it's had awful wildfires. It's obviously not a fortunate thing, it's a bummer thing, because God cares about the physical planet, and He cares about you physically. But because of these wildfires, people who could have hunted elk and had tags are choosing not to, and they're not picking up their tags or they're turning them in. There's just some available. So I just found out about this, you're kidding. Made a bunch of phone calls. My son and I got elk tags. It's amazing. And we've talked to some people who know something about this, like, oh, but where are you gonna go? Well, we're gonna go out in the national forest and we're gonna find something and we're gonna hunt for it. They're like, oh, you're never gonna be able to do that. You gotta go to private land. You gotta go to some guys tried talking me into going to this fenced private land where I could take down an elk. A bull elk would be $15,000. What? Freaking crazy, what? That was supposed to be a good deal. Zero interest in that. I like the hunting more than I like the killing. I like taking my truck and setting up camp at about 10,000 feet elevation in the dent of winter, by the way, hiking 10 miles, setting up on a mountaintop or on a ridge line and glassing it out, binoculars, scopes, trying to find where they might be, and then getting in a place to take your shot, and then having to come 10 miles or so back to camp and hauling 400 pounds of meat that you're gonna have to do multiple trips in a backpack. That's what I'm interested in. That's why I'm interested in physical fitness, because I want to experience this life. I don't want things to be just so easy that there's no gratification to it, but I have to practically be ready for the things God wants me to do. Some of us, we can't roll around on the floor with our kids. It's all right, you got time. Just take a step forward. Try something new. Take a walk every night. Do something different. Some of us, we're constantly tired. We don't have any energies because we haven't kickstarted our metabolism. We haven't gotten our juices flowing because our physicality impacts our mentality. It impacts our spirituality. I actually believe when I'm working out, it is as important to God as it is when I'm sitting in silence, just trying to hear His voice. I do these exercises so I can have a functional, practical, capable, strong life. There was an old-time writer who I ran across his quote. He was an old English professor. Man, I thought what he said was really interesting. He says this: "Since every part of our nature is the sacred gift of God, he who neglects his body, who calumniates his body, who misuses it, who allows it to grow up puny, frail, sickly, misshapen, homely, commits a sin against the giver of the body. Round shoulders and narrow chests are states of criminality. It is as truly a man's moral duty to have a good digestion and sweet breath and strong arms and stalwart legs and an erect bearing as it is to read his Bible or say his prayers or love his neighbor as himself." Moses Colt Tyler. I'm just trying to get us moving, guys. Just take a step. This winter, physically engage. This winter, go to a new place. Try something new. And maybe when you do that, you'll sense the smile of God in your life. You'll find that your actual spirituality is increasing because you're practically a stronger person. A life of faith is a life of movement. It's not a life of philosophy. It's not a life of mentality. A life of faith is a life of movement. Put one foot in front of the other. Get to the place where God can use you, where He can bless you. The book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1 says, "I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship." By the mercies of God, present yourself. They would have an altar where you would put an animal, physically put an animal on a physical altar, and that would tell God, this is yours, this animal is yours, this life is yours. And what is being said there is we need to put our physical bodies on the altar and say to God, God, I'm yours. I'm here. I'm here to do your agenda. And I want to be able to do your agenda. To do your agenda, it means I'm going to have some physical competency, some mental competency, some spiritual competency, but I want to take care of this body as the best I can. I want to make it strong to be able to rise up and do whatever I need to do. And I have no idea what you're going to want me to do. I had no idea. I was going to have an opportunity for elk. I'm doing a little more working out now, 2 weeks before I go out, a little more, but I was ready. I've been doing stuff for a while. I was ready to step up. You want to be capable, friends.
You want to be competent. You want to be strong. Not the strongest, not body beautiful, not perfect disciplined person. Just having enough capacity to do what God might bring your way. Do that this winter. Let me pray for you right now. God, I thank you for the bodies you've blessed us with, however broken they may be, however beautiful they may be to the world's eyes, however overweight they may be, however diseased they may be. You gave us a body, you gave us something, and we're thankful for it. Help us to take care of it. Help us to use it to the fullest extent of all possibilities. Or we want to put your gifts into play, and that means we want to put our bodies into play. And I thank you for the gift of Jesus and the gift of his body to ours. And I pray these things according to his name, his character, his identity, Jesus Christ. Amen.
As we go into this next time of worship, this isn't supposed to be passive. It's not just supposed to be quiet and reflective time. It can be active, bold, and out there. It can be aggressive. And so I want you to think of it as a workout. When you approach a workout, you get ready for that workout. You get in a posture ready for that workout. So lean in right now. Maybe scoot to the edge of your seat. Maybe put your hands out in front of you. Make this a bold declaration to God, whether you believe it or you want to believe it.
choice to make. You can choose hibernation or isolation, or you can choose to take steps to see the adventurous life that God has for you. We believe God wants you to thrive this winter, and one of the ways to do that is to stay connected with everything that we have going on. And you can do that by subscribing right here.
And if you want to know more about us, not Hannah and I, we ain't that interesting. Crossroads, more importantly, if you want to know who God is and what he wants for you, then you can click right here. There's a playlist of videos for you.
We'll see you next time.